So I walk on the dock this morning, and you got this thing loaded for bear. This is crazy, man. You have fly rods, you have deep drop rods, we have big spinners, we have trolling gear. I mean, what the heck are we gonna do?
We're gonna do it all. We're gonna start with morning, try and catch tarpon, and then assuming Mother Nature lets us, we're gonna run offshore. But we're packed with the gills. We got every rod in the house, in the boat right now, essentially. And we're gonna see what shakes out.
That's killer, man. You told me you were going to show me how versatile this boat really is, and it sounds like we're going to do it. So I'm super excited.
It's going to be a good day no matter what we find, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what we find today.
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right, we're going to try this spot first and just try and catch one that's back in and tail in and stuff like that. And here it's definitely harder to catch one of these, but
right. All right.
The fish are here and the water's really, really clear right now. So I think first thing in the morning before anybody runs through here, we'll try this, and then we'll try another spot before we run out.
We're seeing them out here now. I just saw one come up right there.
Yes, sir.
And so it's just super nice to be able to get up here on this deck and have this elevation, you know, and be able to see really well. Mm-hmm. And this isn't something you could do in a typical bay boat at all, or a center console. And we're up here and there's a little bit of a swell.
Right.
This deck is recessed enough where I feel really secure, you know, and it's wide open, and there are no obstructions. I got, you know, obviously I'm up here fly fishing looking for these tarpon, but it's super cool to me that you can do this kind of thing in this boat and get up here. And you know, it'd be the same thing if you were looking for cobia or tuna up in the northeast, or, you know, all fish, it doesn't matter. You can catch them deep, or most of them you can catch them on the surface too, and to have a boat that you can target those same fish depending on what they're doing is really, really cool.
Yeah, very versatile. You know, you can throw the cast net from up here.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, for me, when I have clients come out with me, I can bring kids that are younger kids, and I feel comfortable with them in the cockpit of the boat and things like that. And at the same time, you know, you can get as technical as you want to with this front deck, which is great.
That's very cool. Yeah. So I mean, this is a pretty almost a technical situation here because it's so calm, and we got these fish that are so sensitive, so we're really going to have to sneak up on them. And then if it doesn't happen, you can go do something else. You have big enough horsepower. You know, this boat rips, it goes really fast, so you can go cover a lot of ground, and we can go do other things, you know?
Right.
But yeah, just the fact that we're able to sneak up on these fish like this in this situation is pretty darn cool.
It really opened up a whole new category for me. I mean, you know, and I only, in my Maverick, especially my 18 Maverick, I used to run up to maybe 50 or 60 miles in a day. With this boat, I'll run 120 miles in a day on the beach.
That's very cool.
And I mean,
and with that fuel cell, and you have the auxiliary tank, that extra 31 gallons on top of 95.
Oh, absolutely.
You have plenty of fuel to do whatever you want.
Absolutely.
And you have the speed to really cover all that ground. It's very cool. It's so neat to have something that allows you to cover so much area and do so much different kind of fishing. I mean, for me, the greatest thing about fishing is figuring stuff out, you know?
Right.
And when you have a boat that allows you to figure about your stuff out, when you can go online and see somebody doing something that you didn't know, a new fishery or something like that, you're like, I can go try that because I have a boat that allows me to do that.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it doesn't matter how experienced you are. There's so many things to experience and figure out that we don't from a day-to-day basis. You know, we get stuck in like, it's the same thing as anything, you know, work habits. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you go to work, you check your cell phone, you know, and being able to actually have those doors open up that allow you to do different things.
Super cool.
Come out here, and been fishing here my entire life, and I've seen things in this boat already that I haven't seen in my entire life. So that's really neat.
Wow, this is pretty cool. We're starting to get into them right here. We're just gonna have to get a little closer.
Yep, just gonna go real slow, and we got a whole mix of fish in here. Yeah,
there's a group of little ones right out in front of us.
Right.
Bigger fish out here.
This low light fishing can it can be very rewarding. Sometimes, you know, they just pile on it, and then other times, you know, you got to kind of work for it. But it's nice to always see them. Yeah,
there's no doubt.
And I really don't want to take the boat and put it in the middle of all of them. You know, I just want to kind of hang out on the outside of them. I don't want to become, you know, offensive to them. I just really want them to become used to it. They definitely already know we're here, but the idea is, as long as you don't offend them, kind of, and you just give them, you know, you let them come to you, almost, you know, rather than going through the middle of them. They'll come to you, you know, it's a matter of time. These fish will move with the tide and move with the sun. Yeah, I mean, even if we don't catch one of these, Charlie, at least it's a show, you know?
Oh man, it is so cool. I love seeing them like this.
I can sit out here and just watch them, you know?
Absolutely. It's just so much fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Beautiful, right out here on the beach and everything. We're starting to get in range here.
Oh,
If one shows himself to me,
yeah.
then let's go ahead and do it here.
Take your time.
Yeah. Here they come. I don't think I'm far enough there.
It's all right.
You see him bubbling out in front there.
Mm-hmm. Seems like too these things, especially with that black fly, they might like little, you know, little tick, 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 tick.
Want me to tick it more?
Yeah, little strips. You know, just keep it in that zone, especially with those.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah, that's a pretty one.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach him.
I'll get you a little closer here in a second. I don't want to offend them. Oh, that's pretty damn close right there. It's a pretty cast.
There he is.
Nice. I love it.
That's good.
I love it.
Wish it would last a little longer, but hey, that's what we came for,
Gotta
right?
take her, baby. Good job,
What's
Charlie.
that?
Hey, we jumped one.
Jumped one.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of stuff to this boat, and you did a lot of stuff aftermarket to sort of personalize it. Walk me through that a little bit and what you did and how you set things up, because I know people, depending on how the fishing they like to do, they're going to be doing a bunch of different stuff in it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to each their own, right? I mean, everybody's got like a different style or a different need.
Right.
And, you know, for me, this boat is a tool ultimately. For most people, it is a tool as well, but it's also a fun tool. And so I think everybody's got their own styles, their own techniques, and their own needs and desires. So this boat for me is laid out exactly the way that I need it to be laid out.
Right.
And
you did that a lot after the fact, right? I mean, we do a lot of stuff at Pathfinder for sure.
For example,
to get it to that point.
For example, like you were telling me, you would provide reinforcement, right? For if somebody wanted to add on a tower or top.
Or do their own second station.
And do their own second station. Yeah. You know, a lot of people will do that.
For sure.
That was a huge factor for me, though, was when I saw this boat, I looked at it kind of as like a blank slate.
Right.
And I had the opportunity then to create exactly what I wanted on the platform that you guys built.
Right.
And, you know, I took my time doing that. I made sure I had it exactly the way I wanted it, and I'm glad I did that.
Right, yeah. Well, everybody has their own needs, for sure. And it's nice to be able to get a boat that you can add to. Where it comes fully equipped just from the start, but at the same time, like you said, you can personalize it a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, you could drive the boat out of the factory that day or out of the dealer that day and use it.
Yeah, and be fishing,
and be fishing, you know, be ready to go. I think when you spend so much time on a boat, you figure out exactly what you want. And I've had plenty of boats in the past that weren't exactly what I wanted, and this is like the culmination of all of those experiences.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you know, you did a second station tower, you did a custom tower.
Yes, sir.
So why did you do the tower? And then for those people out there that maybe, you know, are considering whether or not they do a tower, what would you tell them? I mean, how much time, let's say this, how much time in a day do you typically spend on a tower when you're fishing?
Oh man, that's a good question. Honestly, the amount of time I spend up here certainly justifies the cost.
Right.
And it justifies the maintenance. You know, there's a saying when I started off mating, which is if you have a tower, you add an hour.
Right.
Like at the end of the day of just cleaning, you know, and that's something to think about, you know.
Right.
It's more to clean, it's more to maintain. You have height restrictions when you're trailering and things like that, you have to be cognizant of. But in hindsight, with this caliber of a boat, I feel like to a certain extent it really doesn't do it justice, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, to not have it.
Yeah, and then, you know, to each their own, and certainly there's some people who feel like they don't need a tower at all, and like you said, it adds some maintenance, but clearly fishing is getting harder.
Oh.
And any advantage you can give yourself, you need to do it.
Absolutely.
And certainly it always helps in any kind of sight fishing application where you're going to be up on the bow, what this bow is designed to do. if you can see the fish before they can see you, obviously, and that's what that tower does.
Exactly.
And
I mean, how many different species can you think of that this is useful? I mean,
exactly
so many.
right. Yeah.
I mean, just catching bait even, you know, just starting the morning catching bait. You can look up here, you can see 360 degrees around, you see very, very well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, casting purposes, there's just, I can't tell you how many times I've run offshore, been running at 30 miles an hour, 35 knots or so, looked down and seen a sailfish, stopped the boat, put a bait out and caught that fish from just being up here. I would have never seen him.
Yep. So that's good.
Yeah, and you know, it's just, it pays for itself, you know, and it really makes total sense for me.
Right.
Now, for some other people, maybe not, and I totally respect that and understand that. And that's the beauty is you know, personalizing your boat nowadays. And I mean, it's just like your house or your car.
And like we were saying, you can get it from the factory with second station reinforcements in the deck. So you buy the boat and then you decide later you want to put on a tower, you can do it.
Exactly. And you know, you get exactly what you want too. And you like I was saying, you really spend your time making it how you want it to be and get it perfect.
And you were talking about personalizing stuff. So you did some other stuff for sure, like the C-deck package on that front deck, which is a really nice touch. And also the C-deck bolsters here. And we at Pathfinder offer the bolsters as well on the sides there, the vinyl that matches the vinyl on the cushions and all that kind of stuff. Also, you can do the C-deck under the gunnels. We have it in gray and black, you know, and then also a two-tone tan. And it's like a faux teak look, which is nice. But this is really nice too. So you did this great big cooler. That seems to work. I was amazed how comfortable that is when we're running out.
I love it. Love it. I mean, you could put 2 people on there.
Yeah.
Holds. Realistically, I mean, we could go to the Bahamas for a couple days and put all the drinks in there.
It holds ice really well.
It holds ice really well, and so it's well insulated.
Right.
And like even at the end of the day, you'll take out a bag of ice and there won't be any water in the cooler.
Really?
I mean, the whole day.
Yeah, it comes standard with that Engel 50 quart, I believe it is, but this is a great option as well. Like you said, it's definitely a lot bigger than that.
Right.
And more seating space for sure.
Yeah.
And then you opted for not having any seats in the back. I know that's because you're fishing a lot, but certainly a lot of families would like to have the seats in the back.
I was certainly apprehensive about that. I mean, for me, it's just like a delicate balance between being, you know, a tool and then also being a functional tool, but also being comfortable for people.
Right.
And there's no doubt that those seats in the back would certainly pay dividends with bigger groups of people. It's, you know, typically
or family.
Exactly. I mean, but it's typically, you know, the most comfortable spot in the boat always. Back there in the back, and it's you make them so they fold out of the way, they clear out of the way. You wouldn't even know they're there unless you fold them out.
Yeah. But there's also, I would guess you use bean bags back there some, and because there's that little cutout, and you can easily fit back there with the bean bag. And then the nice part is you have the big open console, so you can put your bean bags in there and get them completely out of the way. I've seen some people strap them on top of the top, but so that works well too.
I mean, if you think about it, there's an ample amount of room for at least 6 to 7 people to sit down for a 27-foot boat.
Right. Yeah. That's
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yep. Well, very good. And then you have the gunnels, the rod holders on the gunnels.
I did.
And you added some after the fact. We option it now where we do have gussets on those covering boards.
Right.
So they're nice and secure, so you can put the gunnels in at the gunnel rod holders at the factory, but certainly you put a bunch of them in here.
Right. For those that understand that feature about this boat, I just want to specify that was one of the biggest things for me, just claiming it for what it is, because really and truly there's very few hybrid bay boats, if you will, that have that feature to where you can access the underside of a gunnel. It sounds like a small thing, but the devil's in the details.
Right.
And being able to adjust a rod holder, move a rod holder, under gunnel lights, whatever. I mean,
and then have the rod storage underneath.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be able to take fly rods. We got 3 fly rods strung up here, 9-foot fly rods, no problem. They could fit big spinners. I mean, if you have a boat that's going to be able to do all this stuff, it can't do it unless you have the tackle.
Right. If you put all this stuff onto a boat that isn't capable of holding it, that you realize it really quickly.
Yeah, you're not doing all that fishing that you want to do because you just can't. It can't absorb all that tackle. This
No,
boat doesn't
but
really
you're
do
right
that.
though. I mean, just the storage underneath the gunnels alone, forwards and aft
Yeah.
of the center line here is immense.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and then also with the covering boards, it opens the boat up a lot. You feel how
That's right.
spacious this boat is.
That's right.
And really, really roomy.
You know,
it almost has that three-piece feel, you know?
that's
You know,
right.
it isn't
The
two-piece.
problem that you would
The
run
covering
into,
boards.
right, is like when you would be in a typical bay boat, first of all, the gunnels are lower. Second of all, you don't feel as safe.
Right,
Right?
yeah.
I go back to that safety thing a lot. Being able to secure yourself against the
Yeah.
gunnel of the boat is
Or
such
just like I'm sitting right now, how comfortable is this? It is the perfect height. I think it's like
Right.
around 28 inches right here, 27 inches.
doesn't matter if there's a child or an older individual, you know, it's just that good height. So I like that about it. And it goes all the way to the back too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it goes
Yeah.
all the way back here. So
Yeah. Cool. And then what do you like to keep down here typically? That just floor storage there?
usually, like, I feel like in almost every boat that has a hatch in that location, the cast net will live in there.
Right.
Just about. And you know, I did opt to get the most possible fuel I can in this
That
boat.
31 gallon cell, which goes to about here on
Right.
the boat and goes back from there. So you still have that room
Storage,
in there.
yeah. All the room for storage in there that you would really want. You have a couple access points for seacocks in there
Right.
to adjust them if you wanted to maintain them. That's a big deal.
Yep. For the drainage overboard up front here. And
Exactly.
you have the fish box. Is that macerated as well?
Absolutely,
You did
absolutely.
that macerated. You macerated the back too?
Yes,
also?
sir. Yep.
So you have 3 macerated fish boxes on board. I can't think of a boat this size that has 3 fish boxes.
It is
For sure.
incredible how much fish you can put in this boat.
Yeah, and then you can, this one, you know, it does great for fish too, but it's a killer storage
Right.
box also. Like you right now, I noticed you have it completely full of gear, and
Full of gear.
you pretty much just use the back too for fishing? I mean, for
Absolutely.
fish?
I started out using this box as the fish box.
Right.
It's really, really nice for that. And I realized how dry that hatch is. I mean, they're all dry, but
Right, it's just elevated,
That-
so you're not going to get as much water.
that
in there,
hatch
yeah.
specifically is the perfect spot to keep all of my gear.
Right.
I don't have to go down into the console. I don't have to go down and get on my knees to get into a hatch. That's
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
And chances are somebody's not going to be standing on that, so it's
Yeah.
usually just the right place
Gotcha.
for me at least. But
Perfect.
I go back to that same concept. I mean, the gasketing and you know, a lot of people ask about what the difference is between the boats that were created 15 years ago versus now.
Right.
Is just I say small, but they turn out being giant details, like the fact that they're so dry, the gasket material is really, really good. The latches, you know, the Gemlux latches just keep everything really tight and snug and keep it the way it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
there's no doubt about that.
What else to say? I mean,
So after we went through Sam's boat and how he set it up and some of the custom stuff he did after he took delivery of it, we went and used the second station tower and that high deck and looked for some laid up tarpon, and we found them, and it actually made for some really good shots. We could see them from a long ways away. It was super cool to be able to sneak up on them on that boat and get some shots, but they weren't having anything of it, so we decided to do our offshore portion of the day, which was, as with any offshore fishing you do, you go out and catch bait first thing pretty much. So we hit a bait spot on the way and then headed out to our deep drop zones. So in part 2 of the video series, we talk about sabiki and bait. We talk about the 2700 open live wells and just how they're set up and how great they are. And then in part 3, we head offshore to 750 feet of water and we go out and do a little deep dropping, which was really exciting for me. I haven't done much of that before. But another thing we did was we talked about the engine packages and how Sam set up his boat. Sam had come out of a center console, bigger center console with twin engines on it. The 2700 open comes with 1 engine. Sam opted for a 425. It also comes for a 300. We talk about a little bit about that and some other things that Sam did with his knowledge and knowing running around offshore and how he made that boat suit his needs just perfectly.